We had an election, y'all, and the only red wave we saw was in Florida. Looks like the Republicans will take the House and the Demo-Marxists retain the Senate. It's time for conservatives and Republicans to move out of blue states, move into red states to ensure that they stay red. After all, they can't win without Florida and Texas. It's also time we reform the GOP. It's time to kick out leaders like Mitch and Kevin. We got to bring in some fresh blood, and we have to change our messaging. But at least we don't elect criminals, dead men, and stroke victims. There's something about the Democrats that like to elect incoherent people. Rest in peace, Gallagher, and congratulations to Tiffany Trump. What a beautiful wedding at Mar-a-Lago this weekend. I'm Mimi. This is the Rundown. Now let's get ready for our cast at Politics Plus podcast. Let's go.
Welcome to Politics Plus podcast, where we talk about politics plus so much more. Episode 21, Season 1. I'm here. I'm joined by my beautiful and patriotic co-host, Christie. Hi, Christie.
Hello.
How you feeling tonight? Good?
I'm good. It's good here in Indiana.
Good. Before we get too far along, I'd like to ask you all to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram, iTunes, Spotify, Rumble, Amazon Music, Audible, and Anchor. Links are at the bottom of our YouTube About page. Tonight's topic, the midterm elections and the highs and lows. So, Christy, I know that you were really excited about your local races, especially. And in fact, I remember talking to you just recently, and I could feel that you were elated and especially relaxed, because I'm sure you did a lot of work to get the people that you wanted in. So why don't you tell us about some of your local races that took place?
Yeah. Well, our local races in Indiana, I think really most importantly was our school boards, because even I have friends that are in the Senate and state and all that. They are basically saying we've been trying to push things through and help parents within the school systems, but we're getting stuck in the process. We don't have enough people to push things through. He goes, so it's going to be, they said it's going to be really important for the really local elections to go our way, because that's just really going to be the biggest help to our kids and communities, etc. So we locally had, where my kids go to school, there were 4 seats up for re-election or an incumbent coming in, and it was rough. We've been preparing for 2 years, and we had basically there's a wonderful woman named Diane Eaton, and she started a grassroots organization where Feet on the Ground had just really nothing but trying to be kind and just factual, and really got a really good group of people and support, and had 4 people that are phenomenal raise their hands to run for these seats, and we swept it. When I mean swept it, I'm telling you, like, I just saw the numbers today. We won every single precinct.
Wow.
That in each township except for one. I mean, it was like.
So do you attribute that to you and all the people on the ground that were doing the dirty work, that were doing the enthusiastic part of it, where you're amping people up for the right reasons? Do you feel like you actually did a lot of that for yourself? In other words, I mean.
Yeah, with having 4 boys in the school system, I was so vested in it.
I worded that right.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Just by the way we've learned, what we learned about you so far, you put a lot into it. You put your heart and soul into it. So that's cool that resonated with people. It's so.
Yeah,
I'm sure
there's a lot of people.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
No, it was a village, and I think that's what was
That's
really
cool.
cool is that you see everybody come together that was over everything and wanted change. And there were a lot of people and friends and things that I've lost, but I replaced tenfold with just amazing human beings in my life. So I feel like God really like took those other people out and put some really good people in. And I really do think God had
That's super
a hand
important.
in this.
Politics is a very it's close to the heart, when
Yeah.
there's things that affect you, and you know, it's nice to connect with people that believe the way you believe. So, and to root the ones that don't out, and replace those with the good people, it's just nice. It's a
Yeah.
nice feeling to all be on that same page.
Yeah. It was great to be part of the silent majority.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet. Well, I'm glad. I'm really happy for you,
So,
because I mean, I could tell, just on our little back and forth with our voice text, that you were particularly relieved. That's a great.
yeah,
That's
it
a
was
great.
a weight.
Yeah, you did God's work, really. I think, because that's important.
Yeah.
Especially when it involves our children.
Yeah.
Oh, I know we can't get into all the elections that took place. So why don't we stick to a few that you and I are particularly interested in? I'm not
Mm-hmm.
sure. Just well, you can tell us who you were eyeballing on Tuesday night, if you were eyeballing anybody above, what you were had your hands in.
Focusing, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's another thing too, is I do feel like I kind of was laser focused for a little bit, but getting, I mean, I was watch while all this was happening. We actually had a watch party at for our own candidates, but we were looking like during the day. I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on in Arizona? Like Trump's getting involved. Like Kerry was like upset. Like they had, so from what I understand, their machines were down, correct? Or 20% of them?
that might be the one you were thinking of, then, the one that was blacked out for a while, huh? Because they're still
Uh
counting. They're not going to have any results until next week, from what I gather.
don't okay, so don't they have seven? I put something in my stories, but it was from somebody else. But I think isn't Arizona, don't they only have like 7 million people? Something like
I'm
that.
not sure. I think it was 3 million. That sound right?
So
That sounds a little low to me. Go ahead
let
and look
me,
that up
I'm
real
gonna,
quick.
yeah, so basically, okay, it says Texas has a population of 30 million, Florida has a population of 21 million,
Yes.
Arizona has a population of 7 million.
Okay, so you
How
read
is
it right.
Arizona? Yeah, so how is Arizona still counting?
It's
Like,
funny. It's funny because I saw a meme today. It says, "Can someone please explain to me how the third largest state in America that was just devastated by a hurricane a month ago can get 10 million ballots counted in 2 hours?" But it
insane.
takes
Danny and I
but
were
it
just talking about that. Yeah.
but it takes medium-sized Democrat-run counties 5 days to count a few 100,000. Isn't
I
that
mean,
remarkable?
how it is, and it just goes to show you if you can't see, I mean, at
Well,
this point, if you can't see that there's things going on, I don't know what to tell you.
I was going to save this spot for later, but now that we've said that, about how it takes so long for a Democrat-run county to report after, it takes 5 days or so. The reason for that, I believe, is the corruption that's involved with the mail-in ballots and so on. And
Mm-hmm.
let's just, for example, in 13 recent races with what we call delays and chaos, 10 of those races went to Democrats, which is 77% went to Democrats. These are races that were called long after voting day because of the sudden findings of the mysterious ballots that come in.
Ballots.
2018 election in Orange County, California, Republican had the huge lead. This is in 2018, don't forget, but it's just showing what's going on, in this era anyway. More often than not, the sudden mail-in ballots come in, and voila, the election goes to the Democrat, even when the projected winner is a Republican.
Yes.
In California's 21st congressional district, Associated Press, which is not a Republican, it's a very Democrat I guess it's a paper, I guess, Associated Press. Is that right? Declared David Lovato the winner, who's a Republican. Weeks later, it was retracted because ballots kept coming in for the Democrat opponent, and who ended up winning the race. So here
So
again, I didn't want to go into the corruption side of this just yet because I wanted to get out our highs and lows, like the topic is tonight. But it just seemed fitting right there to say that. But it seems to me like there's a whole lot of this, and I'm sure there's some corruption. Well, I can't even say that sure. I'm sure there's some corruption on the Republican side, but there's corruption on the Democrat side just because of all these
mhm.
mysterious wins, how they all of a sudden just pull it out. How do you have an
Well,
election that is declared for the Republican, and then all of a sudden days later, oh, sorry, a Democrat won
mhm.
without anybody saying anything?
Well, here's the thing too, is like it goes to show you, why were we not prepared for this? We had 2
That's a
years.
good question.
DeSantis was prepared. He put all those rules in place, right? No, he didn't even allow mail-in ballots, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't it? Yeah. So here's the thing.
How about ID?
It was 60-40, right? Like that to me sounds like how divided we are as a country right now. There shouldn't be any close races, in my personal opinion. I think it's either going to go one way or the other, because like I said, with our own school board thing, and Indiana in general, like it was, I guess Indiana, some of the races were a little close, but
Well, I'm glad you
like,
said that. If you don't mind,
yeah.
I had said something a week or two ago about the close races and how, like you just mentioned, how can it possibly be this close in the climate that we're in now? And my theory was that the reason, I mean, I know that people have their reasons for the polls being, so close, blah blah blah. They want you to believe that
Mm-hmm.
they're running neck and neck and all that. But my
Yeah.
theory was, what if they have the numbers so close in these races that you and I would believe would be so far apart? What if they have them so close so that the numbers can be easier to doctor at the
Mm-hmm.
very end? In
Oh,
other
for
words, when
sure.
you're running 48 to 49%, it'd be very easy to come up with 1,200 votes from
Oh yeah.
somewhere that were all of a sudden the mail-in ballots came in. You know what I'm saying? If it was spread so far apart, you'd have to have that many more votes all of a sudden mysteriously come up.
Oh, you saw there. I'm still seeing a lot of some of the races that are not being called,
Yeah,
like at like 49 to like,
yeah,
what?
51 or whatever it
Yeah,
might be. And
it's
do you think
just
there's any? Do you
crazy.
think there's any? I mean, my theory. Do you think there's anything that could be true in that? Do you think, as far as when they're that close in the percentage, be very
I
easy
think
to to come up with the numbers that
mhm,
would take to push the Democrat over the top?
it's
Or
more
am I
believable.
just off base here, you think?
It's more believable, and it's more to where you can that the people that don't want to see that what's going on could be like, see, it's fine. It wasn't. There's nothing. They didn't do anything with
Well,
the
it's
votes.
easy to
They didn't
declare
do anything.
it's easy to declare a win for the opponent when they're only a
Right.
percentage point away.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they this whole mail-in ballot thing seems to be the root of the problem when it comes to votes that aren't there, that all of a sudden
Hmm.
come in.
Because
So
it never used to be like this.
yeah, I'm a firm
I
believer
mean,
in voting on the day of the election. I'm a traditionalist in that respect. I loved going out. I love to go out and
hmm
vote on the
a lot of
day
people do.
of. My friends, I have a lot of friends that will vote early, and I just don't. It doesn't seem right to me that you should vote early.
Yeah.
I have to wonder, is your vote
Yeah.
really counting when you vote early? I mean, what if those votes get
Or does it?
lost?
Or if it gives the other side a chance
Yeah.
to see what they're up against.
Yeah,
And
because
yeah.
those numbers come in, they can see who's, and they also oftentimes declare that.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I
It
just
was
don't think it's
funny.
a good idea.
So funny you say that too. That so when we were looking at, because when you first start election night, right, the first things that come in are the early voting. That's what starts seeing where everybody lies. Honestly, I felt like Republicans like to vote on election day.
Yeah.
And that's why you started seeing like the huge, like it was really, really close. And then that's when we literally, I guarantee you, when I was at the polls working that day, it was 3 out of 4 Republican. I mean, no question asked, because you could tell by, some people would tell you after they voted, or they would look at you and give you a wink, like when they were walking in. But it was phenomenal of the turnout of
So it makes you wonder
Republicans
how there could have been any blue wins, really, because I
yeah.
feel the same way about that. I walked up to my, to register at my voting station, and the guy checked my ID, and then checked me off the box, checked my address and all that. And I said, "Can I vote more than once?" He goes, "Vote early, vote often," and started laughing.
That's an awesome answer.
Yeah, well, you've heard that before, right? Vote early, vote often. That was a
Mm-hmm.
big deal. I think during it might have been Biden, it may have been Obama, but someone had coined that one. Vote vote early and vote often.
Yeah.
For Democrats,
Yes.
in other words,
Right?
vote often.
Yeah.
I mean, vote often. Wow.
Or even count the dead people. I mean, you never know.
Yep.
That always helps.
I saw a bumper sticker that said, "If I die, don't let me vote Democrat."
Who was it they left on the ballot that was dead?
I know. I
forget
heard.
who it was.
Yeah, I can't remember, but I
I'll have to
heard
look
about
it
that.
up. But I did find out who it was. It was that their 4 angles of their live stream, their cameras went down.
Really?
It was Washoe County. And it said the 4 angles of ballot counting on Washoe County went down Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Basically said the live stream computer application lost connection at 11:24 p.m. on November 9th. And then
Wow.
actually went back up, was restored at 7:53 a.m. And that was, I'm trying to see exactly where Washoe County is. It's not letting me know, but Reno, Nevada. So there you go. Another one that had trouble last time, right?
Yep. Another thing that I wanted to bring up was that Tony Montaga was saying that they can change your vote if you mail it in. If you were to mail it in, can you really trust they're
Yeah.
not going to change your vote and then drop that in the machine?
Well, that's what happened in Arizona. People were not wanting to go and do a different type of because the systems were down. Like they're like, I'm not counting on somebody to check my ballot
No.
and not know, because I don't know if they've done this. They probably added this to a lot of different places, but when we voted here in Hamilton County, they had once you made your selection, right, it would have like a receipt kind of thing that would scroll up,
Mm-hmm.
and each page it would confirm who you voted for, before you push the red button to solidify all of your votes.
No kidding.
Because obviously they're aware that fraud happens. So
Yeah.
they did that. They paid extra for it.
Huh.
So,
well, you have to
then,
wonder if Ron DeSantis were to ever become president, would he do the same thing for our 50 states as he did for Florida, as far as the fixing the voting problem? Because the mail-in ballots,
so.
when they come in from all different shady characters everywhere and just dumped off, and I mean that's blatant corruption. That's mind-boggling to me. So do you think he'll fix it? Nationwide, I would imagine he would. I mean, why would you not?
Let's hope he can't get bought off. I think people's worry.
I don't think that would happen to him. I think he's pretty straight up myself.
I have a hard time anymore trusting anybody.
Oh,
and it's not,
you kidding?
It is, you know what I mean? So it's like, I can't anymore. I can't put anything past anybody, because I
Nope.
feel like, is everything a mirage, or is this just all for optics? Is this like everybody's going to be like, oh, let's vote for him, and then he's not what we thought he was going to be once he gets there.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. I they say the controlled opposition, and sometimes it just makes you wonder, especially with who he's getting, not just basically who's contributing to his campaign now is getting kind of shady. Because to me, if he wanted to make sure people knew that he wasn't taking money from shady people, I think he should say, no, I don't want your money. That's my personal opinion, because, if he thinks that, especially with everybody saying what's going on with him and Trump, that they're trying to split up the votes,
Yeah.
so you just never know if what's happening.
One of the things my friend, I didn't hear again. I wasn't planning on bouncing around my notes, but when I sent out my text that asked people to give me their 5 disappointments, it was started off as disappointments. Then I realized I should ask for their things that made them happy about the elections too. And my friend and Darren, who is like a brother to me, one of the last things hit on his list. Maybe I'll get to the whole list later, but just for now that you mentioned Trump and DeSantis, he said one of the things that bothered him was that Trump was starting crap with DeSantis.
Yeah.
He said that shit needs to stop. That's quoted. Then he said, "I'm taking my Trump 24 sticker off my truck." And this is a diehard conservative. I met him at a rally when Obama was president. I met him in Nashville. He had a 9mm on his side. I mean, one of those good old country boy types, and he's gonna peel his sticker off his truck, for what he's doing to DeSantis. I'm not even sure what's even going on with all that, to be honest with you.
I was talking to Danny about this earlier, right before, and I think could be a lot of things, but what if this was done on purpose? What if this
sure
was him
there.
exposing, for him exposing, maybe he knows so much that we don't know.
So
You know what I mean?
Do you think he's actually trying to expose DeSantis so that if he were to run against him in 24, he'd be able to, that could all come up? I hate the thought that DeSantis and Trump would be enemies.
Same.
'Cause I love them
Are they
both.
doing it on purpose? What if
Yeah.
they're doing it on purpose?
They're
Who knows?
both intelligent enough to where they could actually be doing this as a ploy, as a way to an angle for some. Because Trump, what I've learned about Trump, he's always several steps ahead of everybody.
So yes, that's what Danny and I were talking about. 4D chess. So
yeah,
when you
something that you and I probably can't even fathom or can't even comprehend. They're probably working together for this, for all we know. I mean, who knows?
I mean, they have to play it this way because it is. I will say, even I was talking to my husband about, I couldn't believe how intricate and complicated and all the different moves that we even made on a local election for school board, let alone what it takes for the presidential and all these other elections that are so important. And
it's funny you say that, because when I was going to first talk to you about the elections, I didn't want to sound like I was starting off small by asking you to tell me about your local elections, but you're right. There's so much goes into these major elections. I mean, we can't even put I bet we can't even begin to understand what goes into all this.
Oh, and it gets so nasty.
Yeah.
I mean, nasty. And that's the thing, is that at least I think another reason why we won is that we didn't go down that road.
Good for you.
We kept our, maybe behind closed doors, we said what we wanted to say, but out in the open, for the most part, unless our candidates and the organization that was backing them and supporting them, the PAC that we had for them, they were the just class act. So
Well, it's always good to go with integrity anyway. You can't get in trouble when you work with integrity. You know, you can't if you're not lying, if you're telling the truth. Um, you know, if you have class, you know, it always seems to work out. I mean, it doesn't always work out better, but you'd like to think it does anyway. But
yeah,
you
and
know,
I think of that with Carrie Lake.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
It'll be
I
interesting
feel
to see
like
what happens with her because here I am bouncing around my notes again. Um,
but they're saying, is it Arizona that they were saying they're going to wait till maybe even Thanksgiving or after to see who wins? Or I can't keep up with them
Yeah,
all.
I had heard it was supposed to be into next week, but that I could have the states wrong for all, you know, I could have it wrong. All I know is that
Well,
the race there is 50.7% for the incumbent and 49.3 for Lake. It's leaning towards Lake, but here again, you know, this is where the corruption sets in. This when you have this in between period, that's where the corruption sets in.
oh yeah. So we were talking about Arizona. We talked about New York, kind of not surprised because two, the people that left New York, they're gone. They're the conservatives, they're out.
Yep.
So then you're left with people who I don't know, apparently love crime and horror, like keeping kids out of school. Like apparently they like that. So, and then you have Pennsylvania, where you have, he's just a complete. Like I've had some people say, is he like literally? Does he have like something wrong with him, like up in the head? Because there's no way he can run for any office, and then for him to win. But then you see
You have to wonder if people actually voted for
on
him because of his his situation, whether how he has this little handicap going on. People are feeling sympathetic towards him possibly, but I'm
but
with
you see
you. I
their
mean, I
Instagram
see.
followers, the number of
What
Instagram followers,
what's that now?
the number of Instagram followers.
Did
You
they
see
increase?
like, oh no, I'm saying like the difference between like the people that are running against each
Oh,
other.
okay.
Like you have Dr. Oz. He has like what over 1 million followers, and then you have it's Fetterman, right? I can't keep track of everything, but like
What I can't believe is that Oprah actually endorsed Fetterman. What's up with that?
that
She was good friends
that
with Oz.
well, that should anybody that she endorses, you need to just steer clear of that. She is
Yeah,
not
well,
a good
they didn't
woman.
though. They took him. See,
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't want to. I hate to make. I don't jump on the wagon of making fun of people when they have issues like this because for all we know, it's legitimate. You know, and just like Biden. You know, he has dementia. We all know that, but I'm not gonna jump on that train and make fun of him because we know we're all gonna get old.
No,
We all
he's
could
just
have.
unfit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
So
definitely
if you're
unfit,
unfit,
and they
you're
shouldn't have
unfit.
done
But
that.
I'm not gonna jump on the train of making fun of people for their
Yeah,
their shortcomings in that respect. But yeah,
they
I
should
mean,
have picked
to think
somebody
that
else.
the definite big surprise on Tuesday or out of Tuesday so far anyway is Fetterman winning.
Yeah,
That's a mind-boggling. Can you imagine being Dr. Oz with the IQ that he has and realizing you lost to this guy?
yeah. It
You know,
just
I'll be careful
that's
not to
why
go, huh?
you can't. How does that? How do you really truly believe that that's really legitimate? Is what
I don't
that to
believe that
me.
it is. I really don't.
I
I
don't
don't know how
either.
that can possibly happen. But let's shift gears a little bit and go on to just like I don't want to go through my whole list necessarily. We've had a nice conversation so far, but um, hold on, I got to tune my earbud out now. It's starting to die on me. I was particularly involved with the New Hampshire race because that's where I am,
Mm,
and we kept our Republican governor, which is hard to believe because we're in a very blue state, but he's been our governor for like, I think 3 terms now, for at least 3 terms. But didn't change a seat otherwise. I mean, how are you in this climate that we're in with $4 gas, inflation rising the way it is, and not want to vote some change? You know,
Right?
we had a hopeful Don Bolduc who was pro-life. Come on, baby, hook up. My earbud's not kicking in. Um, and
I can hear
and
you.
replaced by I mean, not replaced by, but the incumbent Senator Maggie Hassan, who votes with Joe Biden almost 100% of the time. She won. You know,
I
so our whole
believe that was like,
our state was sorry, our whole state was stayed the same. How
there's,
does that happen?
I don't know how that happens because I don't know very many people that didn't vote straight ticket either way. I just don't. Either you believe in wholeheartedly in what they're feeding you, or you are just like, so for example,
It's mind-boggling.
my neighbor, she texted me on election day and she said, Christy, this is the first time that, or second time that I've ever voted straight Republican. She's like, I'm sick of it. Like, I'm absolutely, and she is very, like, traditionally votes Democrat. And she was just like, she didn't even care. She was like straight ticket Republican. So I just don't understand. I feel like like I said, it's so divided. I don't see how you can have like somebody like a governor and then not have the rest follow, the rest of the votes
Yeah.
follow along.
I have a hard time understanding how our state, which is very liberal, very blue, still has a red a Republican governor. How does that work? If you're so staunch Democrat, how does a Republican get in as governor in state? And he's the executor or the executive, like CEO
Right.
your
Right.
of your state. So how do they allow that to happen? I guess I'm not into it enough to understand that, but uh, yeah. So I mean, it was very depressing because we really wanted to get rid of Hassan and get Don Bolduc. Don Bolduc is he's a pretty staunch Republican, but he didn't do great on camera, so that's probably why, or even on microphone. So maybe that might have something to do with it. But she is pro abortion. You know, I mean, I don't know. I can't wrap my head around it sometimes, all this stuff. But anyway,
No. And yeah.
our state stayed the same. But what I was really, I was on a text thread with our other co-host and our executive producer that night, and I was like, because 2 of them are from New York City or New York, and
Mm-hmm.
it was back and forth with Kathy Hochul and Lee Zeldin, and even though New York did well in Long Island and in the Hudson Valley area with turning 4 seats red, they still lost Lee Zeldin to Kathy Hochul, who, I mean, she is a just a leading liberal. And what I told our cohorts is that she slid into that spot as governor because Cuomo lost his job. She wasn't voted in for that. But now that she's voted in, now that she's going to be particularly emboldened now to go on with her agenda. And one of those things is
Oh my God.
vaccinating kids for school.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
go to my grave before my children got vaccinated for school for anything. I mean, I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about the COVID vaccine, obviously, but it'll be interesting to see if she actually goes forward with that, which would not doubt because we've all seen
Oh
Democrats who
yeah.
just they're just going for this. They don't care about anything.
Mm-mm.
They're going for it. So if she actually pushes this vaccine mandate through for children, it's going to be interesting. I'll just say that.
I just
Thoughts?
wonder when that happens, I mean, there are going to be kids that hopefully that they're going to have set up communities within, um, New York, where parents can like lean on other parents and take them out of the schools. I mean, that's just the hard truth, and just getting them out.
You
Like
have to wonder if they'll actually band together and just not bring, instead of going into class, walk around the school with their kids, all of them. It's going to take everybody getting involved together. You can't have just some of
yeah.
them showing up. You might keep your kids at home, blah, blah, blah. But if you really want to make a
Mm-hmm.
statement, you've got to show up and, everybody needs to get together and actually show up together as a full, a group of strength. Strength in numbers, in other words, where I'm going with that. But
100%. Yep.
yeah,
Because
if you
there's
don't, you
other,
will lose.
yeah. I mean, the best thing that we have right now, right, is that we have the house as of right now, correct?
Yeah, we have both.
Which,
We have house
yeah.
needs seven seats. It's 192 to 211. I'm not really. I'd be lying if I understood why you had to have seven more seats. Well, I was saying that I was on a text thread with the crew and because two of them live in New York and Kathy Hochul pulled it off. I was very hopeful for Lee. I actually thought Lee Zeldin was going to win this. But here again, I'm sure there's some, like Denny says all the time, overlords probably dipping into this election. So 'cause I can't
Mm-hmm.
imagine being a thinking American and actually voting for her, especially knowing. I mean, don't most adult voters, have children? I mean, do you really want your
You
kids
would think.
vaccinated for school, mandated? So even though we lost to Kathy Hochul, we still turned 4 seats red in the Long Island and Hudson Valley area, which is great. I can name them for you, but it's really not necessary. Four seats flipped red. So that and believe it or not, I heard that a big reason for them flipping red was because of Lee Zeldin's race. His race and doing so strong was a good share of the reason why they flipped 4 seats red in New York. So, hey,
That's,
some good
yeah.
comes out of the bad, I suppose, right?
Right, right. Like I think it was a total of 16 seats, right, so far that have been flipped red in the House. So,
That's
uh,
good.
yeah, that's where my alarm bells are going off, Mark. That's why, how is that happening and it's not happening in other places?
Well, I'm
Or
glad
like
you
if
said that
somebody,
because,
yeah,
yeah, the red wave that everybody predicted. I was going to start the program with this tonight. I was going to say, I don't want to talk about the red wave too much or the red tsunami too much. But my question for you, Christy, is how is it that seven-figure pundits and politicians and celebrities, talk show hosts, TV talk show hosts can all dictate, or well, just find the right word for that, but can actually
predict,
predict a
yeah,
red wave or a tsunami. But little old me in New Hampshire did not think we're going to have a red wave. Why is it that these people I mean, is it misinformation for the wrong reason, for the right? Who knows what it's for? But why would these people
right.
predict a red wave? Certainly, people had to know it wasn't going to be a red wave. That's kind of a rhetorical question, but I have a hard time believing that all these people are saying, "Oh, tsunami, it's coming," and yet I'm kind of embarrassed myself.
Yeah, yeah. It's,
I'm not kind of embarrassed. I actually am embarrassed to have my friends know me as a Republican, and yet this red wave didn't happen.
well, there's reasons why. I mean, I think that there, like we were talking before, like there's just, to me, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't match up. It doesn't, like, you can't just like gain 16 seats in the House and then the other
Yeah, a
races don't
couple.
reflect the same. Yeah, it doesn't match up. So that just tells me there's some glitches. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
There's some percentages that are being put into those machines. That, I mean, that's my true belief.
I also wonder why there's not more people like, say, well, you can name any Republican really, like uh, Ted Cruz, for example, or Rand Paul. And why aren't these people themselves, even personally, getting into the details of these elections to where things aren't, think. In other words, why aren't they digging into all these things? It affects them, right? I mean, why would they not?
Mm-hmm.
They're a lot closer to it than you and I are, as far as
Mm-hmm.
learning how to figure it out and weed it all out and get it straightened out. Look at Ron DeSantis in Florida. He seems to have fixed Florida.
Yeah.
So why is it everybody else is doing the same thing?
It
It
we
affects your
should they should
party.
have.
Hello? Knock, knock, knock.
Mm-hmm.
It affects your party. It
Yeah.
affects your family, your people, your kids, everybody.
I
But
think
yet, here we are.
that they're not true Republicans. I think there are a lot of people that are not true
Yeah, well,
Republicans. I mean, our governor that we have, he was at the WEF for like he was there.
what is that?
Like the World Economic Forum, he was there. Like part of it. Like but guess I mean that's what I mean by not true Republican. Like they're
Well,
bought and paid for.
money does change the game. That's for sure about this. That's for sure. It's sad
Yeah.
to see that formerly good people would go down that road, to join up with all the
Mm-hmm.
rest of their clan, the group think.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Georgia Senate race with Walker and incumbent Warnock. It's going to be a runoff election on December 6th. Right now it's well, I don't even write down the numbers. I know they're close. It's like 49 to 40, 49 point something to 48. It's close. So
Mm-hmm.
it'll be interesting here again, as we talked about earlier about the mail-in ballots and all the close percentage, easy to change to the winner type mindset. It'll be interesting to see if that works. If Herschel Walker wins in Georgia, I won't believe it. Let's put it that way. You know?
I have kind of stayed out of that one myself because I know there was a lot of drama between him and his son.
Yeah,
That's really kind of
yeah.
so I mean, like I said, is it controlled opposition like in that aspect as well? But I mean, there's just I don't know. There's
It's
just
hard.
so
Yeah,
much.
I'll give you a headache.
It will give you a
DeSantis
headache. And
wins over Chris by 20 points. That's a non-issue. I mean, that's we don't need to talk about that one. Abbott wins Texas over Beto. Can you
yeah, I
imagine? Now we can
mean,
wave bye to Beto, hopefully.
Beta,
Beta.
that's what he is.
I
Yeah.
think of Beto the same way I think of Abrams, you know. So I'm glad she's also gone. That's a
I think
big
she's
deal.
worse than him. That's for sure. But
Oh,
yeah,
there's
I
no
am.
doubt that she's worse than him.
Mm,
He's just he's a empty suit. She would actually do some
yeah.
damage.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, she would.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm
She's,
glad to see that she's out of it. I mean, hopefully she'll just disappear. The Arizona race, Senate Kelly 51.7 to Masters 46.8, but I mean 46.1. But it looks like they're leaning more towards Masters. I really want to see Arizona go with Masters so bad. I can't stand Kelly. Masters has so much to offer, so God, let that happen. Uh,
mm-hmm.
Lake, here we are back again with the governor's race with Lake and Hobbs, 50.7 to 49.3, but they're saying it's
There's
going.
no way. There's just no way that's even accurate right now. There's
I can't
just no
imagine.
way.
Yeah, I can't. Watching her speak, listening to her speak, I can't imagine being in Arizona and not wanting to run to the polls to vote for her.
Oh,
So here
for
again,
sure.
hit my theory about the close numbers, easy to
Close.
change to
Yep.
the winner. That's probably going to be in play here, as well as all these other ones that are close. So, but I haven't heard anybody say this. Maybe I got something wrong with my thinking. But I have a feeling that could be the very reason that don't forget these people are they're looking for a way to win. They're looking for a way, excuse me. They're looking for a way to actually pull this off.
Mm-hmm.
So my thing is that this is the latest, their latest mindset on how to fool the masses, make it real tight,
Oh.
make the race real tight, and then you got 1,000
Mm-hmm.
votes that happen to come in for Hobbs, and boom, away goes Lake.
Yeah.
So
But I mean, there's just too many troubles in Arizona. I mean, you have the border, you have kids
yeah,
dying from fentanyl, you have, you know, the trafficking is out of control. You have, I mean, it's just all the crime, the safety, all of it. And you can't tell me that as a parent, regardless what side you're on, that you don't want that. You don't want it.
do you go to
And
bed at
so
night without checking your doors, like your locks in your house? That your husband at least check the locks on your house? I go around before I go to bed at night and I check every single lock on my house, on the doors.
mhm.
And I do it
Mhm.
like almost to the point where I'm like mad crazy. I look at
Yeah,
everything
like you're
before.
neurotic about it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Every night. I even I even will push the alarms on the cars to lock it and make sure I lock the cars from inside the house, the remotes on the cars. And so the reason I'm saying that is, why would you want to have a state on a border where you don't have a way to secure that state? If I were a governor of a state, I would have already had my Trump wall built.
Mhm.
Why
Oh
would you
yeah.
not? Why would you not?
Want to protect
It's
your
a
own people.
no-brainer
Yeah.
to me, Christy. It's a no-brainer to me.
Yeah.
Shame on Abbott, shame on all these border states that haven't already
Mhm.
secured their border on their own. For goodness sakes, really? Get away from
Yeah.
Trump's wall? Why?
Here's my thing too. If
I'm sorry, I didn't
things
mean to go
don't
down. I hope I didn't go down a road you
No,
weren't prepared for, but
you are right there. I'm right there with you. I've been watching the Arizona race. Like that's the one that I've been really
yeah,
watching because that's not only effective for, like affecting Arizonians, it's affecting the whole country.
yes,
If that wall does not go up, and if that state does not get in control,
yeah.
we're I mean, that's where all the fentanyl's coming in. Like, are you kidding me? That in
So,
Texas? I mean,
so
it's
yeah,
just
so here,
crazy.
here again, you have to wonder why other states that are, let's just say particularly red states, because we're the ones that actually want the wall. Republicans
Mm-hmm.
want the wall. Why aren't other states, mid-country states, donating to the cause? Because
Yeah.
that border is affecting
Or
them.
pushing it or
That's
being
right.
behind it. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yep.
I mean, it's amazing how little Christie and little Mark could actually make some things happen if we had the ability to. Because you have to wonder, why aren't these people doing this?
So what would you do if you could not move? You can't you if obviously there's inflation or there's a recession, even though they changed the definition of it, we're in a recession. Like I mean, there are people that can't afford to take their kids out of school because they're working during the day. Like
Hmm.
what I guess my question is, what would you do? What can you do? What kind of power can you give back to yourself if things don't go your way? And like what you said before, and I'm going to somewhat answer my own question, is the community. You have to start building
Rally.
that community because that is who's going to, you need to lean on each other. You're going to need to do that in order to make things create change because you can stand up. You don't have to send your kid to school if you don't want to. Like you really don't. But you have to figure out how am I going to care for them? How are they going to get an education? So that's why you create your own community and come up with a plan. So, I mean, I hate saying stuff like that because it sounds like I'm going kind of like down a rabbit hole,
No,
but
I think
like
it's awesome. Yeah.
to be prepared, you have to be prepared.
My problem with that, it would be that you would not be able to get enough people on board onto your mindset to actually make a difference. It has to be something where everybody will get on board with you to make that difference. If only 20% of the people that think the way you do actually show up,
Mm-hmm.
guess what? You didn't show up. because
Yeah.
strength in numbers counts. So
Mm-hmm.
it's very frustrating to think that that could happen. You know, that people would just look the other way and not jump on with the cause. I'm talking about people who think the way you and I do, that
I
still
know.
won't show up.
You'd be surprised though, because I did feel very alone at the beginning. And I still felt like, oh my God, how are we going to pull this off? How are we really going to win these seats?
And you
How is
did.
this? And we did, because
Yeah.
we never lost faith, and we kept at it. So like, I guess my thing is that I understand where you're coming from. But I do think that you have to create your own community of like-minded people, because not only for your sanity,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Hmm.
But to
I
create
feel like the
that,
Lone Ranger, Christy, half the time. I
yeah,
mean,
I
most of
bet.
the time. I feel like the Lone Ranger. Like I'm the only
I
one thinking this way.
don't, but see, that's what they want you to think. That's what they want you to think. And then that just spirals. But you
Oh,
just
I'm
you
a
really,
radical for sure, just like you. I'm sure you are.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well,
We
let's.
found out,
I don't want to beat a dead horse too long on this whole thing.
yeah.
So let's move right to the fun part, and that is, where I said I sent out a text to some of my friends and also my co-hosts for Politics Plus podcast, asking about their disappointments, I mean, mainly, and also some of some of the things that made them happy. I just want to read a few of them off. My friend Dan in New Hampshire, I've known this guy since I was a little kid. He's one of my best friends. His biggest problems were the Senate race with Hassan. Of course, it's New Hampshire we're talking about. Hassan, Bolduc losing. Again, she's a pro-Biden voter. She's everything Biden. So it's very difficult for a Christian or a God-fearing individual to be able to think that someone like that made it back, is staying in, given her stance on abortion. The other thing was Pappas beating Caroline Levitt, and she was 25 years old. I mean, this girl was, every time she talked on the radio, I was enthralled. She was
Mm-hmm.
fantastic. His other thing was Fetterman, which is what a lot of people said. Shady elections
Yeah.
as a whole. That was his list. Darren in Tennessee, cheating, which we've already talked a lot about tonight. Fetterman,
Mm-hmm.
again.
Yes.
Arizona taking too long, as we've already discussed. Could be
Mm-hmm.
well into next week, could be into Thanksgiving, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia, too close. Likely will go blue due to said cheating. And also the Trump thing about him starting, all this rift with DeSantis and taking his Trump sticker off his truck and so on. Michelle of the Enamimi Minute and Politics Plus podcast, she's in Florida. She said, "I live in Florida. We don't get disappointed." And then she said, "And as long as Arizona pulls it off, I'm happy. We flipped the House, we flipped the Senate, and Pelosi is gone. Praise God for that." Joe is a lame
Mm-hmm.
duck. So I would have to say that Michelle is my favorite out of this list, but our executive producer, this is a good one too. His list is mail-in ballots still being allowed for 24.
Mm-hmm.
AOC and those other bitches held their seats.
Yes.
As we know, Ilhan Omar is not on my list of friends, let me tell you. Voting machines being rigged and cheating occurred. And his last one was Hochul won. So that's
That's
pretty cool. I'm glad I sent that little request out because I got some pretty
yeah.
interesting responses. It's nice to hear the feedback.
Yeah.
So
But it sounds like a lot of people have this very similar frustrations in regards to
yeah,
the races. So,
yep,
uh, yeah, but I am not going to give up hope at this point.
yep.
So
Don't
we
give
got to
up hope.
keep, and hopefully just praying every night, every morning, all day long. Just basically saying that things may be revealed if they are not
Yeah.
what they seem.
Well, unless you have anything else you want to add, I think we probably should land this plane. I think we've had a great conversation. It's been a fantastic moment. Chrissy, I've really enjoyed talking with you. I felt very, very, this is probably the most relaxed I've felt in our 21 episodes, was sitting here talking with you. So thank you. Thanks for making me feel
Well,
good. It's been great. I think it's been a good talk. How about you? You think so?
yeah, I think so too. I think we hit some really good
Yeah.
topics and hit some topics that a lot of people feel very similar to us
Yeah.
about, and just to, like, I guess, giving people hope, and not to get discouraged, because in my personal opinion, you have control. You are the one with the power, and don't let anybody take that away from you.
Amen.
Yeah. So
Anything else
I
you want to say
appreciate
before
it.
we hang it up?
Like, just don't ever think that the impossible is not possible, because
Yeah.
what I did here, not me, but what happened where I am at in our schools, was getting all 4 seats was going to be pretty much impossible, and we did it. We got them
You
all.
did it. That's
So
awesome. I'm really happy
yeah,
for you. That's great.
yeah,
It shows
yeah.
all over your face. See, let me tell you. It really does. That's good.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
we're going to hang it up. And it's been a great episode, everybody. We'll see you on episode 22 coming up here pretty quick.
Awesome.
And we'll be heading into the season 2 here pretty soon. And Murphy says hello.
Hey, Murph.
Hey, Murph.
All right, Mark. Always a pleasure.
Yeah. Nice
All
talking
right,
to you.
take care.
Bye.